Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite video. In today's video, you guys have been loving all of my previous tips and tricks videos for Fortnite, and today we're going to do a highly requested video on how to aim better, how to improve your aim, how to aim like a god or a pro, and basically give you guys tips all the way from sensitivity, bullet drop, where to aim explosives, how to understand recoil, a bunch of tips on how to improve your aim, hit more bullets, which will make you win more gunfights and win more games in Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, this game, there is a bunch of tips on how to improve your aim, but overall, the thing is that this game does take quite a bit of skill, and there are different levels to understanding the aim and different understandings of how bullet drop works, how recoil works, how the weapon that you have determines how much recoil you have, and we'll cover all that. Drop a like on this video if you guys could. Let's go ahead and go for 98 likes. I appreciate all the support, all the new subscribers. It's all absolutely amazing, and I'm just blessed, and I really do appreciate all of you guys. So make sure you guys are smacking that like button and subbing if you guys are not already subscribed. Let's talk about it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is sensitivity, because when it comes down to aim, one question is people always want to know, what settings do people use? What settings do the best players use? Now, if you want to see my settings, I made a video on the settings a couple of days ago, but as far as sensitivity, everyone likes a different sensitivity, and you want a sensitivity that allows you to swipe onto people as fast as possible, aim around and lock onto targets, but you want it to never, you don't want your sensitivity to be too high to where you're missing shots. So whenever you feel like you are missing shots because your sensitivity is too high, either with the shotgun, or if your slowdown sensitivity is too high because you're missing shots with an assault rifle or an SMG, that's when you definitely want to lower it. Another tip with sensitivity is if you guys haven't played for a while, you usually lower your sensitivity. If you guys have been playing a lot more, you can up that sensitivity, but it's always a debate and people prefer different ones. Me personally, I play on PS4. I use 5 and 5 for the sensitivities X and Y, and then my slowdown sensitivities are about 0.65. It's just general stuff that I use, but I prefer those because that's number one, what I'm used to, and once you pick a sensitivity, you should usually stick with it unless you're, do minor adjustments. You don't want to be going from an 8 to a 4 and stuff like that. You want to get comfortable and get something you're used to, because even though it's a video game, it does come down to muscle memory, and that's what I'll say about sensitivity. Another thing is just play time overall. This game does take skill. The more often you're playing, your first game of the day is not going to have as good as of aim as your 20th game of the day, but that's just general tips. Next thing is where to aim and pre-aiming. Now, pre-aiming is a major key. Basically, you want to have the enemies running into your sights instead of you having to react to their movements. Now, pre-aiming goes on multiple different ways. If you're with a shotgun and you hear people in tilted towers, you want to set up your crosshairs around where the enemy's head is going to be and basically be pre-aiming an area, or at least be walking around with your crosshairs there so you are ready to snap on their head. In more long-range gunfights, you want to be pre-aiming to where you think the enemies are going to be poking their heads out, whether you have a sniper, a SCAR, a gray assault rifle. You want to be pre-aiming the top of that head glitch area that they probably built, and you want to be firing as soon as you see them. That pre-aim can get you some headshots, which will do a huge amount of damage, and once you start hitting the headshots on them, you put the pressure on them, and it's easy to just hit a couple more body shots to finish them off. You don't have to have the best aim to do that, and that's what I recommend with that. Next debate is, when do you go for headshots? A lot of people like to talk about this. Now, my opinion on headshots is this is a major key for aiming. With shotguns, always aim for the head. Shotgun multiplier to the head is insane, 250% sometimes. You can destroy people. You want to aim for the head always and line up that with shotguns. With assault rifles, I suggest that usually your first shot on an enemy, if you have an open shot, should be to the head, and then the rest of them you can just spray them down to the body or whatever. But definitely aiming for that head on that first shot can give you a huge advantage. I mean, if you hit them with a gold scar to the head, that's 72 damage. You already have a huge advantage, and you will, based on percentages, win that gunfight every single time. Not every single time, but most of the time, because of that first shot. I don't recommend just aiming for the head every single time, though. With your first shot, it's okay, but after that, it is fine to spray people down to the body. It doesn't make you a bad player, and that definitely is a big debate when it comes down to aiming. The number one point on how to aim better is to understand your weapon and know when to hold down the trigger versus when to tap fire. Now, this is something that I see a lot of players struggle with. You have specific players that will always hold down the trigger no matter what, and will miss a bunch of shots and scream at the TV, and will maybe blame it on bloom or lag or whatever. And then you have other players that even when they're at a close to medium range will be tap firing and will get blown up or destroyed because of that, because they aren't hitting as many bullets or killing their enemies as fast. Now, understanding your weapon, you can understand when to hold it down and when not to. Now, this does take some playtime, and definitely it wasn't something that I understood when I first started playing. It took me, days of playtime to really get the knack of this. The better your weapon, the better the recoil pattern is going to be, and the less likely it is that you're going to, or the more likely it is that you can hold down the trigger. So if you have a golden scar and a guy is medium range, feel free to hold down that trigger. If you have a gray AR and a guy's medium range, you're probably going to want to tap fire, and that's just how the weapons work in this game. Another thing is, if you're holding down the trigger and you realize when you're starting to miss a bunch of bullets, that's because your gun, basically your recoil and your aim, it has gone completely bonkers, and you're going to have to reset. You have to know when to reset, and this is probably one of the most difficult things in this game, is understanding tap fire versus holding down the trigger versus when to reset. If you're holding down the trigger right on a guy and you miss 10 shots in a row, you have to stop shooting, maybe build a second, take a second to reload your gun, and get him again and shoot him again, because that's going to reset the recoil. If you take a second, stop, reload, or you don't even have to reload, but just stop shooting, it'll reset the recoil. Another thing that's a major tip, and I'm pretty sure most people know this, but you want to crouch while shooting, and you don't want to move while shooting. Crouching and standing still, while it will leave you prone to the enemies hitting you, your bullets are going to go the most straight by doing that. People who are running around or jumping around or even standing up, every single time if you see an enemy, you want to be crouching while shooting with an assault rifle. With shotguns, it doesn't matter as much, but at those long range gunfights, you watch the gameplay, and this gameplay is pretty good gameplay. I forgot to mention, but it's like a 17 kill win, 24 kills overall, but 17 kills for me in a duo win I got with my buddy. Crouching is a major key to winning those long range gunfights. That's more of a beginner tip, but it's something that you want to make sure you're doing every single time. Next things we have to talk about are bullet drop. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on bullet drop. Basically, you don't have to worry about bullet drop in this game, except when you're using guns that use heavy ammo, a hand cannon, a sniper rifle, different stuff like that. Sniper rifles is the main thing, and the basically that's the ones where you're going to be experiencing heavy bullet drop. Now, bullet drop, just at medium range, there's pretty much none, but at super long range, and those snipes that are 200 meters plus, or maybe I'll say 130 to 300 meters, those are ones where you're going to have to do bullet drop. And the best way to understand bullet drop is, number one, only worry about it when you're using guns with heavy ammo, and basically hunting rifle also has insane bullet drop as well as snipers. Just basically shoot, and if you see your bullet go way high or way low, you can know and adjust your aim, and then it will eventually come naturally. But that's more of an advanced tip for snipers, and really understanding that is just practice, rinse, repeat, and understand that. Next is aiming with explosive. Now, there's two types of main explosives here. With grenades, of course, what you can do is you can basically angle the grenade, and you have that little blue arc where you can know where to angle your grenade. With the RPG, what you're going to want to do, the RPG will always go into a straight line. So what you want to aim for is either A, if you're shooting to blow up a base with the RPG, you probably want to shoot the bottom of it or the support system of that base to be able to knock that down. Or if you're shooting for an enemy, you want to shoot the RPG against something where it will blow up. So if you see an enemy and you see he has a wall of wood behind him, or brick or something like that, you want to shoot for the corner of that wood where it will blow the enemy up, or you want to shoot for the ground or some sort of surface. You can't just shoot an RPG straight at an enemy. I mean, that's pretty, common knowledge, but that's how you want to aim with RPGs. As far as these snowballs or the noob tubes or grenade launcher, whatever you want to call it, this one does not have as much range as you would think. As you see here, I'm trying to shoot people and it's barely reaching them. Sometimes it's not even. Thing with this is there's a couple things you can do. Number one, if you build a ramp, you can bounce it off of your ramp and over to people. Number two, these things will roll, so you can shoot them straight up in the air and sort of Kobe them right into their base, or you can shoot them and try to bounce them into their base off different walls. It is kind of hard, but that is how you will aim with different explosives, and that's basically what it comes down to. The three main or four main things that you got to aim with are, number one, shotguns early game. Aim for the head, pre-aim, be sure to set up. Next is with assault rifles. You want to crouch when you're shooting. You want to learn and understand your gun, understand recoil patterns, when to tap, when to shoot. Next is sniper rifles. You got to learn bullet drop, different stuff like that. And then explosives, you have to. Explosives sound easy to use, but they actually aren't. If you watch someone like Ninja, he's an expert with the snowball machine. A lot of people think that grenade launcher is kind of weak, but the way that he uses it, he can bounce it straight into people's bases and get double kills, quad kills, and different crazy stuff like that. It definitely does take practice to aim with each of these things, and when it comes down to it, sensitivity is all about being or having something you're comfortable with, and then consistency is just playing the game. You have to play the game a lot. This is a game that does take skill, and if you do take, I've noticed, if I went on a trip and I come back and I haven't played for 3 or 4 days, my aim is going to be sloppy, and the more often you play this game, the more often you consume content, watching videos, watching tip videos, playing the game, the more you can learn and the better you can get quickly. But that's just in general. Of course, tips are helpful, but when it comes down to it, playing the game, using these tips I give you in this video, and basically trying to use them in game is going to make you improve. Thanks for watching, guys. Smack that like button. Hopefully these tips will help you guys to aim better in the game. Drop a like, smack that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. That's about it, guys, and I'm out. Peace. Have a great night.